I call to order this public hearing at 6:05 p.m. on Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. Good evening and welcome to this public hearing being held electronically as authorized by Ministerial Order Number M192, Local Government Meetings and Bylaw Process, COVID-19, Order Number 3. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Squamish Nation. This public hearing is being held to consider zoning amendment by law number 1065-62 to rezone the property located at 834 Park Road from single family and two-family residential to cluster residential to allow the development of 28 group-oriented units within 10 cluster residential buildings. I will introduce the council members present this evening. Councilor Alaria Ladwig, Councilor David Crow, and I am, I am Deputy Mayor Anne Marie de Andrade, the chair of this evening proceedings. Mayor Beamish is on vacation, and Councilor Lumley was not able to attend the hearing today. Staff members present this evening are interim CAO Mark Brown, Director of Corporate Services, Rebecca Anderson, Director of Planning, Leslie Ann Statz, Planner, Kirsten Hawkins, and Recording Secretary, Laurie Mosiman. All persons who believe their interests are affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given an opportunity to be heard on the matters contained in the proposed bylaw, or to submit their written submissions to the corporate officer before tonight's hearing is adjourned. Under Local Government Act, the chair of a public hearing is entitled to make procedural rules for the conduct of the public hearing. For this public hearing, we will use the following protocol. Persons wishing to speak during this public hearing are invited to use the raise hand feature by clicking on the hand icon found at the bottom of your screen. The meeting administrator will then add you to the speakers list, and you will be able to unmute and turn on your video when it is your time to speak. Please identify yourself by clearly stating your name and residential address before beginning to address council. Speakers are allowed up to 5 minutes to make their presentation and may not transfer all or part of their allotted time to another speaker. Members of council are present to hear your submissions and not to answer questions or debate the merits of the bylaw under consideration. Council members may ask for clarification from members of the public after their submissions, and I would ask them to do that through me as well. Persons wishing to speak a second time may do so only after all other persons wishing to speak have been provided the opportunity to speak for a first time. Persons speaking a second time will be limited to 3 minutes. A written submission may be submitted via email to clerk@gibsons.ca in lieu of speaking, provided it is received prior to the close of the public hearing. All written submissions will be circulated to council and will become part of the public record. So, introduction and background of bylaw. Planner Kirsten Hawkins will now introduce the proposed zoning amendment by law. Please, Mrs. Hawkins.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This application is to rezone the property from the existing single-family and two-family residential zone 3, R3, which currently allows a single-family dwelling or a duplex, to cluster residential RCL zoning, which would allow for the proposed 28-unit cluster development in 10 separate buildings. The RCL zone allows for a mix of single-family, duplex, townhouse, and apartment buildings. And the bylaw amendment will also delete section 9.79, number 4, which requires the the maximum net floor area of a second floor to be 80% of the first floor, unquote. The reasons for this are that it's become redundant with the form and character development permit requirements, is problematic to implement, and disincentivizes hiding parking garages within a unit. The bylaw was given first and second readings on September 7th, 2021, The resolution to hold a public hearing today was adopted by Council on September 7th, 2021, and a notice of public hearing was advertised in the Coast Reporter on September 10th and September 17th of 2021.
Thank you, Kirsten. I will now ask the corporate officer, Rebecca Anderson, to note and present any written submissions received to date regarding the proposed zoning amendment bylaw. Please, Rebecca.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. There were 3 written submissions received from 3 individuals in opposition of the proposed bylaw. These submissions were included in the agenda that was published after 8:00 a.m. this morning, September 21st, 2021. There were no written submissions received relating to the proposed bylaw amendment after 8:00 a.m. today, September 21st. As noted, individuals may choose to forward written submissions via email to clerk@gibsons.ca up to the close of this hearing. Those submissions will be collated at adjournment and circulated to council for consideration.
Thank you, Rebecca. We will now seek public input. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed zoning amendment bylaw?
We have one person with their hand raised. I'm going to move them over to speak.
Thank you.
Ms. Edith Jacobs is joining the meeting.
Please, Edith. Welcome.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear us? Or there, it's on mute here.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay, so it's Edith and Trevor. We're 2 residents at Sherwood Grove. We live on Park Road at 735 Park Road, and I'm not sure whether this is. I have no objection to this. Rezoning there. We were just wondering whether this is an appropriate forum to ask about from the planners is what if this street is all going to become a very high density housing area like our townhouse complex, that there's just some concerns around traffic calming with the park and Park Road becoming there again a pretty busy street if it's going to end up with a few hundred residents on it. Right now they put a jog in the road that for this recent development, but I don't see in truth that it does much for traffic calming. And just wondering whether it is appropriate to ask that question. What, from the planner's point of view, to keep the traffic down with the park there, or the speed down? That's what I'm asking, but maybe it's not appropriate here.
Thank you. Corporate officer, will you enlighten us? Do you think our planner could give a quick overview? Sound.
Go ahead, Director of Planning. I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna, I mean, this avenue is more to hear concerns about the zoning amendment on the table, but I can briefly speak to that. And if you have more questions, I'd be happy to take them outside of the public hearing. But in terms of this corridor, the land use designation is for low density residential too. So it is for that cluster residential. So if other properties come forward with a rezoning application, they could be looking at a rezoning for cluster residential, which is similar to this one, which would increase the density.
Okay, can I respond?
You can have one more question. I've got a timer going. You have 3 minutes left on your time.
Okay, so should we just come to you at your town office then to discuss this, what will be done in the future around traffic considerations if the area it's going to be high density on our street?
Yeah, sure. We can set up a meeting to talk about the road infrastructure, and we can include the Director of Infrastructure Services in that meeting as well.
Yeah, and this Park Road is under your jurisdiction, or is it under a different jurisdiction?
Park Road is under the town's jurisdiction. Reed Road is a mixed jurisdiction between the town and the Ministry of
Come and talk to you then someday.
And do note that your comments are recorded and will be put on the record for council to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone? Oh, go ahead, Councilor or Deputy Mayor D'Andrade. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I would like to ask if there's anyone else that is wishing to speak for or against the proposed zoning amendment bylaw.
If anyone has a comment, please click the raise your hand button on the bottom of your screen. I see no hands raised.
Okay, so I would ask for a second time, is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed zoning amendment by law? So that could be people who already spoke but would like to speak once more.
No hands are raised.
And for the third and final time, is there anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed zoning amendment by law?
And no hands are raised.
Thank you, Corporate Officer. I will now ask the Corporate Officer, Rebecca Anderson, to note and present any written submissions received during this public hearing.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor D'Andrade. There were no additional written submissions received during this public hearing.
Thank you very much. So being no further input, I adjourn this public hearing. And thank you all for your attendance.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. See you at 7.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.